On this episode of Aha Moments, we will hear from two elementary teachers on how they use inside-outside circles to promote academic discourse.
Both teachers jumped right in and tried this strategy immediately after attending training, and they encourage other teachers to be fearless in trying new strategies.
Let's listen in to some teacher testimonials from Jess and Sam coming up next.
Welcome to Aha Moments, the podcast where we explore the breakthroughs and insights that shape our professional journeys. Whether you're a new teacher finding your way or a seasoned educator seeking fresh ideas, we've got you covered. In each episode, we dive into the hearts and the minds of our very own Pinellas County teachers and share challenges, triumphs, tips, and strategies. Get ready to be inspired, learning something new, and experience your very own aha moments.
Welcome to Aha Moments, where we celebrate great instruction. Today we are going to hear from some teacher testimonials. I have my co-host with me today, Karen Collier.
Hello.
Fantastic. And we have our special guest, Jess. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Jess Waters. I teach 4th grade at Ozona Elementary School.
4th grade at Ozona. Fantastic. All right, Jess, can you share with us your strategy that you would like to talk about today?
Sure. I was actually going to talk a little bit about the inside-outside circle strategy, which I learned at the Academic Discourse training when I took the 5E trainings with you guys.
Yes, we love inside-outside circle.
It's my favorite strategy for getting students to engage in conversations, for sure.
Yes.
Definitely.
Jess, can you describe a little bit about the inside-outside circle?
Sure. So for inside-outside circles, the students stand in two circles. You have an inside circle that faces out and an outside circle that faces in, and the inside and outside, they're a partnership. So whoever they're facing is who their partner is, and they get a chance to talk to that partner. And then what makes it so great is that they also get a chance to move and get a new partner. So after they've had a chance to partner share, I like to roll a dice to kind of keep it random. Otherwise, I tend to pick the same number every time, and they start to figure out who their partner is going to be. So I'll roll a die, and I'll say 4 steps to the left, outside circle, and the outside circle moves, and now they have a new partner. And either the same question or a new question, depending on what the lesson entails.
Yeah.
That's great. Can you tell us about how you used it in your class and then what worked well with that?
Sure. So I don't even remember what we were specifically doing the day I decided to try this. I had just learned the strategy like the night before at the training when you guys came to my school, and it was they had to agree or disagree with something that a character did, and they felt very strongly about their opinions. Like every hand was up. A simple turn and talk was not going to be enough. They really wanted the chance to share their thinking, but we didn't have the time to do like everybody got a chance to share and have a whole class discussion. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, hey, let's give this a try. So I had everybody stand up, but I just really quickly kind of threw them into an inside-outside circle with probably way less explanation than I would do if I had started it at the beginning of the year, but we figured it out pretty quick. And I was just really impressed with like the conversation and the fact that they didn't know who their partner was going to be, so they were excited every time they saw somebody new, and it got people who don't typically work together to have a chance to hear each other's thinking. So,
and you're doing this in 4th grade?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And every training we do on academic discourse, every time we talk about inside-outside circle, Karen shares her story. So I'd love to hear your inside-outside circle here.
Yes.
Stories here.
So when I was a math coach, I watched a kindergarten teacher do inside-outside circles with her kids. It was amazing. They all had their little shape in their hand, and they were talking to their partner, and they're like, oh, I have a cylinder, and it has 2 faces, and then their partner would say, like, I have a triangular prism, and it has 5 faces and 6 vertices, and it was really great to see kindergarten students engaging with partners, using academic language correctly, and being able to like compare and contrast their figures. And so I always told teachers, if kindergarten can do it, like you can do it.
Yeah, it's definitely like, it was way easier than I kind of expected. I know like you can get kind of stuck in what you tend to do all the time, or you're just following the modules, and sometimes that like formula ends up a little repetitive, and I myself get kind of bored with that sort of thing, and I know the kids do too. So this was a fun little way to kind of change it up and give them a chance to have different partners and more partners. And
Yeah. So you did this the day after your training.
Yes.
So it didn't require a lot of planning and preparation. But now that you have that and you're going into the next school year, what will you do differently?
Well, definitely start it like super early in the school year so we can kind of get like the process kind of nailed down. It would be a good one to use for just kind of the community building time, kind of getting to know each other. You could do it with the, like talk about what are your favorite things, find a couple things you have in common, what's something they like that you don't like. You could have that piece, or you could do it with something that's a little bit less like on the spot with, you guys did the question of is a hot dog a sandwich and had them debate whether a hot dog was in fact a sandwich. And I feel like that question itself would be a fun one to do with fourth graders.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing we didn't talk about yet that I kind of want to circle back to is when you have them move. So you said you roll the dice to make the partnerships random.
Yeah.
And then they're going to have the same discussion again.
Yeah.
So what's the effect or what's the purpose of having that same conversation with multiple different partners?
So you get to kind of see the other people's viewpoints. You might hear an argument from one person that maybe you yourself hadn't thought of, and I'd noticed a couple of people kind of take on their partners.
Yes.
Something that they had heard from their partner that supported what they were trying to say, that they liked the way it were. So they were expanding their own thinking in that way and really listening to each other. And, sometimes if you have something that you feel very strongly about, or it's something that lends itself to a rich discussion, it's not enough to just talk to one person about it. Like, you need the chance to kind of reformulate, or if the discussion seems to be like with just the one partner, that was enough, maybe add a question to like deepen it for when you go to your next partner. How maybe the next partner, you're not arguing your own point anymore, now you're talking about the opposite point.
Yeah.
And it's a really good like kind of bridge into some of those scarier discourse things. Like, it can lead itself eventually to being able to do a Socratic circle if you're super duper brave, or it's an entryway to respectfully kind of disagreeing and having a little bit of a healthy debate, which is hard for kids to do. So,
and it's such a great strategy for students to get to hear all those different perspectives, like you said, where they hear someone else's viewpoint and that now becomes part of their argument towards why they agree or disagree with something. And it's such a great pre-writing strategy too, where hearing from so many different people first and now going in and locking in their thinking after getting all those ideas.
Yeah, well, you could even extend it a little bit with some of the sentence supports from the new writing writing revolution book and stuff from another training. You could have them using those specific, like, okay, with your partner, use the because but so, or have a partner like the inside circle has to ask you why or has to ask you when, so you're deepening kind of.
Well, and even those discussion points and using those stems and those frames can be a pre-writing strategy.
Exactly.
So when writing's the focus, it really, even if it's talking, you're not writing yet, but you're organizing your thoughts and you're organizing it around academic content.
Yeah,
So
well,
I
and
think
you
that's
could do it like informally at first and then make it so that the expectations for the language that they're using gets a little bit more dialed into the content and making sure it's academic, because they don't know that the way they talk is not the way they're supposed to write, like that there's a difference, that they think that, I text and I do social media, so I'm a writer. No, that's just written spoken word. That's not the same thing. So this is a chance to kind of give them orally that framework too.
Absolutely. What would you say was your aha moment with the inside-outside circle?
I was just super impressed with the conversation. It was all like they were really on task and on target. They were kind of going back and forth and clarifying the things. So it was a much deeper conversation than I had been getting with just regular partner talk or same old group talk. I tend to lean a little bit on the like doing the shoulder partner, or they have the same regular partner for something, which is grouped intentionally, but it's not always the best strategy for every time. So
Yeah. That focused, deep, rich conversation is, we see that again and again, even when we're using the stem as a hot dog, a sandwich.
yeah. I would say maybe going forward I'd be a little bit more intentional with who is in which circle. Because like I said, I had learned it the night before. I needed to get our lesson back on track. They needed a chance to talk, so I figured I would just give it a try. But next time I maybe put, like, if you have some friends that can't be partners together, like they're not a productive partnership, then maybe have them in the same circle. So if they can't be with each other and they're all in the inside circle, then they never are face to face. So, and I think you had mentioned that sometimes, Karen, in your classes, you had like your inside circle was just set. That was your inside circle.
It was permanent. It was once we had set the routine, they knew if they were inside circle. And so if I saw that they needed to get up or something had to change real quick in the dynamic, then we could real quick say, okay, inside circle, get to your spots, everyone else partner up, and then we could just do like a quick few rounds with that. And it's a nice change for them.
Yeah, well, and that ties into the need to have like that quick transition. If you teach that routine from the get-go and they all know where they're going, you're not being like, okay, you're inside. You're not having to kind of start from the beginning every time.
Well, and then it's a great thing if the energy is really low or there's like a lull and you're like, okay, everybody get up, and it can really energize.
Or if they're high energy, like what I was experiencing, it gave them a chance to kind of get that out so we could kind of refocus and move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so for teachers who want to try inside-outside circles, what is like a key takeaway or something that you would tell them in trying this?
Honestly, don't be afraid of it. Just try it. If you already have set partners, then just say, partner A, your inside circle, partner B, your outside circle, and start with that because they have their familiar face, and then, have them move a couple of times. I think it's one of those things that if you try it, you're going to love it. And then it's something that you can just kind of have in your toolbox because you don't know when whatever you're doing is going to require the chance for them to do that. Or, you might need to wake them up, or you might need to bring their energy level back down. And it's a good strategy to just kind of pull out on the fly, even if it's not necessarily what you had scribbled in your plan book.
Jess, I think you gave everybody some really great advice on inside-outside circle. I hope all of our teachers are going to dive in and give that one a try. So thank you for being with us today. Thank you to Karen for co-hosting, and we'll see you again soon on another Aha Moments.
Well, thanks for having me.
Welcome to Aha Moments, a podcast where we celebrate great instruction. I am your host, Robin Ford. With me today is my co-host, Karen Collier. And we are looking at some teacher testimonials on some fantastic instructional strategies. Today we have Samantha with us. Could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what you teach?
I'm Samantha. I teach at Cross Bayou Elementary, and I've taught first, second, and third grade. I'm currently going into first grade this coming school year.
And what grade did you teach last year?
Last year I taught second grade.
Second grade, so second to first.
Yes.
So we're going younger. Fantastic. Could you tell us a little bit about the strategy you're going to talk about today?
I'm going to talk about inside-outside circles and how I use them in math this year.
Oh, fantastic. All right, can you tell our audience a little bit about what is an inside-outside circle?
An inside-outside circle is a chance for discussion. The inside circle, I'm giving them the question, and then the outside circle is actively listening, and then I have one of the groups move, and I change it up on them so they can't predict who they're going to be with the next time. But I give them stems to be able to form their discussions. So the inside circle had a geometric shape.
Oh, okay.
And so they had to describe the attributes of that geometric shape that they had. The outside circle had to use the stem I heard you say to repeat back to them what their shape was.
So can you give us an example of what that sounded like with your second grade class, right?
Yes,
okay.
With my second graders. My inside, partner A would say, my shape is a trapezoid. It has 4 sides and 4 corners. And I tried to probe them into using that word attribute. So I tried to give them the stem, the attributes of my shape are. Okay. So they were using the vocabulary. But then my outside partner B, would say, I heard you say you had a shape that had the attributes were 4 sides and 4 corners.
Excellent.
And at that point, I'd have them move, and I had one little smarty pants that said, well, that's not the true definition of a trapezoid. Because he knew the true attributes of a trapezoid. And I loved hearing his vocabulary because he'd help me. So I didn't have to be the one to guide.
So how did that carry through? Did he bring that through his next?
He did.
Okay.
He was able to tell his next partner, you're right, it does have 4 sides, 4 corners, but it has to have 2 parallel sides and 2 perpendicular sides. And I hadn't gotten to that vocabulary yet. So I was super excited because then when I pulled them all down and we were talking, our class discussion now guided better for my instruction.
Yeah.
And it was them teaching each other and not me being the teacher. I got to step back.
Yeah.
So do you see a change in the way they engage in conversation when you do the inside-outside circle compared to just a turn and talk?
I feel like they're more in tune with what their partner is saying than sitting on the floor playing with their shoelaces, not really actively listening. I found it brought them to a different level because they're standing up straight. They had all of the student posture in line to where distractions were taken away. So they're able to have the conversation to move to the next step.
I think that's interesting because I think there's a lot of fear with using the inside-outside circle that kids are going to be more distracted or more likely to maybe act out or misbehave.
I found less behavior. I wasn't redirecting. I was able to walk around and listen, and even if their conversations got off topic, they were still where they were supposed to be. There wasn't movement, and I could easily slip in and out and redirect, get back on without feeling like I was really doing anything.
Yeah, and when you use the stems, like you said, it allows you to so kind of gently redirect that conversation if it does get off task.
Right.
Because they have very like the attributes of my shape are, and what I heard you say was.
Right.
And so you can always go back and ask that clarifying question to kind of elicit that response from them again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you feel like when your students have those multiple partners that they take parts of their conversation with their first partner and it becomes, as they move, that they're using some of that same?
I hope so. And so one piece that I did was when you move to the third partner, so the first 2, then the inside moved 2 steps, and then my outside moved to their out like 3 steps the opposite direction. I'd have them say, remember the last partner you had. Share one thing you learned from them. So that way it was held like a conversation and not a new partner. It was like, we're only talking about what we have in front of us. How is your shape the same as the shape you had before? So that way they're continuing to build, and it wasn't just one shape they were looking at.
That's great. So you build in some of that higher, you're starting to get into higher DOK when you're getting into like comparing and similarities and differences.
Right.
And that kind of thing. All right. Have you tried using inside-outside circle in any of your other like subject areas?
No, I found that just with this one particular lesson, it went really well because it lended itself for discussion. It was, I think, April-ish when I did this lesson with them. So I brought it back a couple steps, and I was just doing it with our morning meeting. So they were getting to share what they did over the weekend.
Okay.
And, how did what you do over the weekend was similar to the person you last talked to? So that way they were all getting to hear what others were doing without it being a 20-minute conversation.
Yeah.
I love what you said about that this was a lesson that like lent itself to this strategy specifically, because I think some teachers may feel like they have to try and make it fit somewhere, but it doesn't always fit. And so it's really important to be intentional about when you use that. And I love that you were using it in a very non-threatening way with the morning meeting, just to practice the process of it and get used to. I talked to a partner, and then one either the outside or inside moves, and then we share again just to teach them that process up. That's really great.
Yeah. So you rolled this out in April.
Yes.
With your students.
Yes.
And so that's a tough time of year to roll out a new strategy. So that's brave, and I applaud that. Thinking about next year, and we might want to break this down into a couple of things.
Okay.
I want you to think about how would you start this with students, like even if you were teaching exactly the same grade, what would you do to start this process in your class so that it becomes a way of work? And then I also want you to think about what kind of changes or scaffolds will you make because you're going from second to first?
So I've already been thinking about how I can implement this with my first graders from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking the getting to know you activities that usually take big chunks of time to be able to keep things moving by turning an inside-outside circle, the getting to know you. And to where they come in with, oh, how do we get to school? Talk with your partner. How did you come to school today? And then having one of the groups move, okay, you came to school this way. Talk about how was your other partner coming home the same way.
I just want to pause there because I think that's just genius, and I don't think I would have thought about that. And that's a thing that's very confusing because if you're a bus rider, is this what you're talking about? Like,
yeah.
So, in my opinion, if you're a bus rider, then that's the only thing you're going to listen to. What are my instructions for being a bus rider, right? But sometimes you might have a parent that comes and picks you up, and now you're a car rider. And so, what a great way to actually engage them in all of the different ways.
And then just
I love that.
getting a chance so that way later on down the road when it's maybe November, maybe it'll spark a thought. Oh, I remember the beginning of the year we talked and so-and-so, Johnny liked apples because of this. And we had that conversation. Just kind of building the class rapport and the class just feel is everybody's welcome. Everybody contributes. Everybody's a part of it is important to me.
Yeah, setting those norms, that's one of the things we talk about in the discourse, academic discourse class is the importance of setting norms and having that culture of safety and the students feel comfortable and they feel that it's okay to talk. And it sounds like you're doing a good job of setting that tone and setting that culture.
It's important to me.
With your students.
So we had come out to Cross Bayou to do this training with you and your colleagues, and we had heard that kindergarten tested out a little inside-outside circle. So how are you feeling about having the kids come up, they might have only done it once, but already a little bit of background in that?
I'm excited about that piece because I think it's going to take a little bit off of me having to introduce it, and I can kind of make them the expert. Like, you've already done this. Oh, we've got 3 brand new kids to the school. I need your help. Yeah. You guys have already done this. Let's show them how we do this. And so it takes off of me, puts a little bit more emphasis on them. So it brings it back to that student-centered. And it's just, I got to be the leader today. And it was everybody.
So what was your aha moment with the inside-outside circle?
My aha moment was kids love to talk. So my job as the teacher is to find a way to let them talk in a way that I am guiding it. And it's authentic. It's not, I want you to say, oh, okay, you repeated back to me exactly what I told you to say. Great job. It's, what are you thinking? Share with your partner. So I get to actively listen to them.
And their thoughts.
Right.
That's great.
And I think it's so important that you're teaching them to actively listen to each other as well, because that is a really hard skill even for adults.
Yes.
And so if you're doing that with them as second graders and now this year's first graders, of teaching them how to, when my partner is sharing, I have to listen to what they're saying to be able to respond to what they're saying and not just my own personal thoughts, is so important in that piece as well.
Do you have any key takeaways for other educators who might want to try this?
Don't be afraid to try a new technique. It might sound overwhelming and daunting, but jumping in, trying something new, for me it's like, oh, this is so much easier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
And I get to have fun with it now.
That's amazing.
So don't be afraid.
That's great. So you guys heard it from Samantha. Do not be afraid. Go forth and try the inside-outside circle. So I want to thank Karen for co-hosting.
Thank you.
I want to thank Samantha for her awesome teacher testimonial, and say see you next time for another Aha Moments. Thank you.